welcome to Weekly Reddit. In today's episode of r/Entitled Parents, give me your spot in line. Mom expects me to let her and her kid hang out in my house when I'm about to leave. M wants resort upgrades for a resort she's not staying in, and puts the actual safety of her nearly drowned son behind being found out. M accuses me of stealing my own $700 unique collectible card. Give me your spot in line. I never thought the day would come when I would post here. My husband and I were in dire need of a haircut since we're doing family photos in his parents' backyard soon, the first family pictures I'll have of my 1-year-old daughter. And so we headed to the mall to get our hair cut at the Speedy Haircut place. I knew since it was the weekend I would have a bit of a wait, but this mall has a lot of cool stores. I've worked at 2 restaurants and 3 retail stores there since I was 18, one of which I was the manager of, so I called and booked us an appointment. Then when we got there I used the app to check in and it said to come back in 15 minutes. Sure. No problem. We went to look at suits and other fancy clothes for my husband for work, and then headed back to the line as it was almost our turn. The gentleman in line ahead of us was having problems with the app, so he was talking to the worker, and while this is happening a mom, M, and her son, Ek, 21 plus, stand in line behind us. She starts sighing and complaining about how long it's taking to get the line moving and loudly asks, "Is someone in there?" And then the following conversation took place. EM, hey. Hey you. Hey answer me. Husband, yeah? EM, is there someone in there? Husband, he speaks very quietly, yeah there is. EM, I can't hear you. Husband, yes there is. EM, so rude, who raised you? I can't believe you'd talk to me like that. That is very rude. Me, he's not being rude, we have to talk loud because you can't hear us over our masks. She kept ranting about how my husband was incredibly rude and who raised him and all this stuff while her precious child was standing there playing on his phone. She then starts ranting about how my husband clearly doesn't respect his elders and how he was rolling his eyes and whatever. This is not true, he was just minding his own business, trying to ignore the crazy lady yelling. EM, do you mind if we go ahead of you? Me, yes. I do. EM, okay, you should let me go ahead of you. We have an appointment. Me, shrug, we do too. EM, I don't care, ours is before yours. Mind you, we didn't even tell her when ours was. She just wanted to desperately get ahead of us. At this point we were getting very fed up. It had been a long day and we have this massively rude woman yelling at us, but she tried to make a grab for my husband and he may be quiet, but if she laid a hand on him he would have snapped, and I mean, I was pretty fed up too, considering she had been yelling obscenities, insulting us, and trying to make a grab for my husband's arm to move him aside for about 8 minutes by this point. I could tell my husband was getting pretty angry, and so I grabbed him and told him we should go. There's a better haircut place with more than 2 people working a couple streets over. But he was adamant now he wanted to stay in line just to spite her, but considering the M was trying to put hands on us I was ready to go. I'm not very confrontational with crazy people. I grabbed my husband and told him we should go. And she said finally, should have given me the spot from the beginning. At that point I snapped. I'm a very patient person, but man, she pushed all the wrong buttons. Me, we're going. But maybe you should consider being nicer to people and not being so fucking rude. I am about 5 feet 9 inches and my husband is 6 feet 4 inches, and I was stepping closer and closer and my voice wasn't what you call nice. At this point Ek decided to get involved and started egging on his mum's behavior and kept saying, "Defend your son, Ma." We left after that and she kept yelling at me to come back and how she wasn't done talking to me, but I just kept walking. We took a lap around the mall to see what all was new, and also because we were parked right by the haircut place and didn't want this crazy lady to see our car, so we went around. Like I said, I used to work at this mall before I was pregnant, so I ran into mall security and the management head, whom I'm on great terms with, and I told her what happened, and I'm sure she got them removed from the premises because when we walked back around to our car, a security guard was standing nearby and they were mysteriously gone, and not inside. It truly baffles me that people like this exist. Mom expects me to let her and her kid hang out in my house when I'm about to leave. This all happened during the Texas power outages. My whole street had lost power and I was getting ready to head to my uncle's house because he had electricity. Not even kidding, 2 minutes before I was about to leave, I get a knock at the door. I go to answer it and I see my neighbor who lives in the house behind me. We'll call her Big Bertha, with her kid. I say hey and ask what's going on. Big Bertha tells me they had family occupying their house and they needed a place to stay because it was too full. I said to them, sorry, I'm leaving myself, I won't be able to let you guys stay. Keep in mind, I barely even know these people. She responds with the most entitled statement ever, so you're going to be the reason we freeze, selfish. I was honestly in shock. I didn't know what to do. I was just expecting for her to accept it and be on her way. I said I'm sorry, and went to close the door. As it was closing, I heard her say ouch. I turn around to see she put her foot between the door so it wouldn't close. She then opened it back up and stepped into my house, yanking her kid in with her. Looking at me, she says, "We're not leaving." What? What do you mean you're not leaving? I didn't know what to think. This fool was acting like she was the dictator of our/weekly dictator or something. At that point I knew she was too stubborn to be convinced. I'd have to trick her. What I did was I said, "Here, come with me, I'll get you the spare key to my house so you can access it while I'm gone. It's out front." I grabbed my bags and had them follow me outside. As soon as the door closed, I locked it, ran to my car, and sped out of my driveway. I nearly ran over Big Bertha because she thought she could stop me by standing in the middle of the road, but I swerved onto someone's lawn. When I got to my uncle's, I realized I forgot my phone, but it turned out alright because I didn't really need it anyways. But my gosh, that lady was insane and I haven't seen her since that incident. M wants resort upgrades for a resort she's not staying in, and puts the actual safety of her nearly drowned son behind being found out. Edit. Thanks so much for all of the awards, as well as the endless stories of pool days gone wrong and lifeguard rescues. I cannot keep up at this point. I've been trying to respond to every comment and DM, but it's become overwhelming. Please forgive me if I miss yours. I'll also say that I now plan to share more stories soon, after being asked dozens of times. You all made my day. Thanks again. This happened Memorial Day, opening weekend of 2006, but feels like yesterday, and the details will always be fresh in my mind. It's long, but definitely an enraging story worth reading. This is my first post here. My very first legitimate job at age 16 was as a lifeguard for both the indoor and outdoor pools at a large lake resort. I had absolutely nothing to do with reservations/rooms/housekeeping/the restaurants etc. I was a fucking lifeguard. It was my third day on the job. Anybody could access the outdoor pool, and since the resort was located in a state park, open to the public, we often had people coming up from the lake and the marina trying to swim in the pool. Anybody could buy a season pass or a single-day entry to the pools, and we had 2 employees that would periodically walk the outdoor pool deck to check for either room keys or pool passes. One day, a woman that was letting her young son swim freely without any supervision was sitting at a table with an umbrella on the corner of the deck, slurping down alcoholic beverages. She kept sending her slightly older daughter over to my lifeguard stand to complain about things. My mommy wants to know why nobody has come to take another drink order. My mommy says the umbrella doesn't give enough shade, and wants to know if we can move to the upper deck. The upper deck was reserved for guests of the resort, and had assigned tables and chairs with umbrellas, per room number. The third time this kid came up to me, without taking my eyes off the water, I told her to let her mommy know that the lifeguards weren't in charge of any of those things, and that I couldn't carry on conversations with anybody while keeping people safe in the pool. Daughter goes back over to mom. Mom walks over and pulls son from the water to talk to him for a minute, and then son gets back to swimming. I'm actively scanning and can see all of this. 5 minutes later, M comes storming over to my stand and demands that I give her a spot on the upper deck. When I refused to look in her direction and started to tell her she'd need to talk to the front desk, she, somewhat quietly, hissed at me about how rude I was being. Next thing I know, son goes underwater. He's in the deep end, where he can't touch, and isn't a strong swimmer. He was holding onto the ledge but got distracted. I wonder what by. And let go. I immediately blow my whistle and jump in, pull him up and out of the pool, and start assessing him. The other guard on duty blows her whistle and empties the water. Protocol for a rescue, there. Everyone is watching, and M screams, "How dare you ignore my requests? How dare you embarrass my son, and me, like this?" She yanks her son up by the arm and starts pulling him towards their table, as I follow and tell her we need to wait on EMS to arrive, which the other lifeguard has called to the front desk and requested via radio. She screams, "He is fine and we are leaving." Son is coughing up water and crying, and I attempt to tell mom about delayed, dry, drowning. By now, the aquatics and resort manager are walking our direction. The managers both make it to us, and M is refusing to wait for EMS, screaming that she's a CNA and can care for her own son, that dry drowning isn't real, and that we can't keep them there. The aquatics manager asks her to stay long enough to fill out an incident report, refusal form, and the resort manager asks for her room number so they can be checked on later. This is when everything clicks. M has no room number, which I already knew but didn't have time to mention to my manager. No pool pass and no right to be there at all. She's willing to risk her son's life in order to avoid this information becoming apparent. She snuck in after the last deck check and planned to leave as the next started. About a 2-hour window. Daughter is crying now, saying, "Mommy said we were coming here to swim and get ice cream." M is screaming about suing me and the resort, and is belligerent enough that management determines she's drunk and can't drive with her kids. Park rangers show up, followed by EMS, and the rest is out of my hands and I honestly don't know what happened to them. I do know the family was permanently banned from the resort, though. That was the first rescue I had ever made, and I was commended for it by management and other pool goers. It was a wild Sunday. I went on to be a lifeguard for nearly 15 years, at pools and lakes and the ocean, as well as to manage my own pools. I could tell endless stories of entitled parents and children that I dealt with on a regular basis, especially as a pool manager. But this is always the story that sticks out in my head, since it was my first job and my first rescue. I've wanted to share here for a long time, and thought of this story after reading a post about an entitled man demanding free upgrades over at r/tales from the front desk. Thanks for letting me share, you all. M accuses me of stealing my own $700 unique collectible card. So, about 4 years ago, me and my classmates, back when we were teens, got into a card game called Magic: The Gathering. It's like Pokemon if that helps. I had a pretty big collection and also adopted my dad's collection, which was really valuable. During the vacation me and my friend went to a Magic: The Gathering playing club. So now, it comes in. The day went as usual, I played with my new made friends and chilled out. I left to go to the toilet, but when I came back I noticed a kid, about 9 years old, looking over my card binder. I went up and asked, "Hi, are you looking at my cards?" "Yes. I like MTG. short for magic. Cool. Would you like to play with us? I was pretty chill even though the kid looked sus. I don't fully know the rules, but yes. The kid explained. We will teach you them, don't worry. So the rest of the day went normally, but the next day, I noticed the kid's mum coming up to me. Hi, my son told me about your big card game collection. Yes, that's true. He seemed really interested. Actually, could you give it to him? He's young and you are a teenager. I was 15 at the time. Sorry, Mom. The collection is worth a lot and I really like to play MTG, it is entertaining. I'm still a child. Besides, many adults play the game. Come on. It's not like you need them. These are just some worthless cards. Again, they are worth a bunch. Okay, I understand. I thought that at this point she might give up, but here we go. I will give you $150, it's all I have right now. I'm sorry, the cards aren't for sale, no matter how much you would offer to pay. One card, the Gaia's Cradle, is worth about $700. At this point Em didn't believe a word I said. She started shouting. $700 for a piece of printed paper? Don't fool me. I was getting frustrated. I have to go home, it's getting late. If you want, I could recommend what cards to buy for your son, they are cheap. Keep in mind the Gaia's Cradle is worth a lot cause it's extremely old and rare, out of print. I thought this was it, but the day after when I was playing with my deck, it showed up. I thought nothing of it and continued playing, but then I noticed my binder, containing the most expensive and valuable cards, was gone. I asked my friends if they have seen it and one person told me that they noticed a young kid carrying it out of the room. I immediately ran to the door and hoped to find Dick. I noticed him, on the other side of the door talking to Em. I saw her put the binder into her purse. I confronted them and asked if they could return the binder. Are you talking about the little Pokemon cards I bought for my son? No, Mom. The MTG cards you asked me about yesterday. I saw your son taking it and you putting it into your purse. These are the cards I bought for his birthday 1 week ago. At this point I had enough of it. Could you please show me your purse? Surprisingly, Em showed me her purse and I quickly grabbed the binder, making sure that all cards are there. I started running back home, really mixed up about what just happened. After some time I heard a loud shriek coming back from the road. Help. This boy stole my boy's toy cards. I just came home and explained everything to my parents. The next day, someone knocked on my door. My father opened it and noticed Em, and a police officer, yes, a police officer, standing outside. Hello sir. I heard your son took this child's cards. Is that right? After hearing this I came right to the door with the cards. I interrupted. Hello officer. No, I haven't taken these cards. In fact these are my cards and the boy took them from me when I was with my friends. You can ask them. They will tell you the very same thing. I need more proof. Well, this kid doesn't know anything about MTG, so how about you ask us what the cards' names are? The cards had a name and an artwork. He covered the name and asked us about the names. The kid didn't know any names. Of course he didn't, and the officer gave the binder back to me. I thanked him, he apologized and my father closed the door. I didn't want to know what happened to Em and Dick. I assumed they learned their lesson not to steal other people's things. I noticed them walking somewhere from time to time and avoided them like a swarm of wasps.
Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up with the best content from Reddit.